The placement of lo sochel ha'adam, the prohibition of partaking of any kind of dam, any kind of blood, unless it's properly divested from the animal after its slaughtering, or the prohibition of not being able to eat before we daven according to the Gemara Brachos, or the forbiddance of participating in eating from an animal that has been brought as a korban prior to the Zrichas Adam upon the Mizbeach, the placement of this notion immediately following the halacha of Arla that forbids us to make use of some kind of a tree that bears fruit during its first 3 years until the 4th year when it's treated like Ma'aser Sheni, needing to be taken to Yerushalayim, ultimately until the 5th year when we can make normative use of that which we have planted. The placement of these two halachos, one after the other, piqued the interest of the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, and listen to what he suggests as a reason why they are placed one following the other. Says the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, we were taught, all of us as children, that when a Kadosh Baruch Hu places Adam Harishon into the Garden of Eden, and he's instructed that he can make use of all of the trees, affording himself the ability to eat from all of the delicious fruit from all of the trees other than the Eitz Hadas, which we were taught was pretty much forever. Ki b'yom achocha mimenu, because on the day that you will eat from it, most, indeed, the pasuk tells us, on that day, most Thomas, you're going to die. Says Orach Chaim HaKadosh, that was never the case. Rather, based upon a Medrash Rabbah, says the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, Ki Adam HaRishon, the reason that Lo Sochlu Al Hadam is placed after the halacha of Arla is because Adam HaRishon chata ba'achilas Eitz Hadas kodem zman hetero, is to inform us that it wasn't that Adam HaRishon ate from the tree of knowledge, thereby causing death to be entered into the world, and he was never permitted to make use of it, but rather, no. He ate from the Eitz Hadas kodem zman hetero, before the hour of its permissibility, in which case it was kind of like Arla, shehu b'chinas Arla, says Orach Chaim. Shem haya mamtin ad leil Shabbos Kodesh, for had Adam HaRishon was created during the 9th hour of the 6th day of Friday, had he waited, not sinning in the 10th hour, which he did, but had he simply waited till Friday night, till the advent of Shabbos Kodesh, Hayamei Kadesh Alayayim, not simply would he have been permitted to make use of the fruit of that Eitz Hadas, being that of wine, according to one explanation in the Gemara, but he would have been able to take that forbidden fruit and sanctify it. And through its sanctification, he would have been able to sanctify the day of rest of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Yom Shvi'i of Shabbos Kodesh. But because he couldn't wait, and because he simply couldn't be patient enough, what happened was, indeed, death came into the world, and the blood of man was spilled, as it were, and the blood of all of his descendants, had he been only able to wait from the 9th hour of the day until the beginning of Friday night Shabbos Kodesh. Why, how different the world would have been. We never would have had the notion of death come into the world, and we would have remained on that level of purity. This being the case, indeed, Lo Sochel Hadam is placed right after Arla to explain to us that in Judaism, indeed, as in life, timing really is everything. There's a proper time to daven and an inappropriate to daven. But why? We're ready to daven to Hashem. No. You have to daven at the proper time. There's a proper time to recite a bracha rishona, a bracha before partaking of something, and a proper time to recite a bracha achrona after partaking of it. Family relations, intimate relations, are replete with the greatest kedusha that a Kadosh Baruch Hu could bestow upon man. But it follows kiddushin and then nisuin at its proper time. And indeed, if you look at the pasuk tells us that a Kadosh Baruch Hu said to Adam HaRishon, you are not permitted to eat from the Eitz Hadas Tov Ra. Ki b'yom achocha mimenu most Thomas, for on the day that you will eat from it, you will die. And the obvious question that has always bothered everyone is, but that's not what happened. Adam and Chava did eat from the tree of knowledge, and yet they didn't die on that day. Adam lived to be 930 years old. And the answer is, perhaps, according to the Sor Chaim HaKadosh, I suggest, Kadosh Baruch Hu said to Adam, Adam, you'll be able to eat from it, but you simply have to wait. You can't eat it today on the day of your creation, on the sixth day of the creation of the world. Just wait till the beginning of the seventh. Just wait till tonight. You'll be able to use it as Kiddush, to Mekadesh Shabbos. But if you decide and you elect to eat it today, then indeed, if you decide to eat it today, then most Thomas, you will bring Misa into the world. If you could simply wait till tomorrow, till Friday night, oh, how things will be different. And oh, how wonderful your entire lifetime will be. Many times people have difficulty with the nuances of halacha, instructing us when we are supposed to pick up a lulav and when we can no longer pick up a lulav. When we are permitted to put on tefillin and when we've missed the time of putting on tefillin. When the proper time of lighting Shabbos candles, in fact, is, and when we've missed that hour of the mitzvah itself. And the answer to that is Arla and Lo Sochel Adam. The answer to that is eating from the Eitz Hadas at its appropriate time. Because in Judaism and in a relationship with Hashem Yisparach, indeed, timing really is everything. Have a wonderful Shabbat.